Uh-oh, is this thing on? Uh-oh, am I back? What's going on, man? What down, Joe? It's No Home TV back with another boxing video. Look at that. Yeah, I know it hasn't been a while since I dropped the video. Y'all probably thought, man, something done happened to him or something. Nah, I'm good, man. Doing real good, man. Good spirits, good health, decent wealth. I ain't gonna say good wealth, but decent wealth. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker making his bread out here, just like the next man. But, yeah, I couldn't let the weekend pass without talking about these fights. I mean, there's been a couple fights that have come up that, I didn't get a chance to jump on here and talk about, like Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. That was a beautiful fucking fight of the year candidate, kind of played out the way a lot of people expected it, as far as, the bigger man, or the bigger good man beating the good little man, which is what people's expectations is going to be in September for Canelo and Crawford, who faced off in the ring last night, which was a kind of a, surreal moment. People make all kind of different type of, makeshift fan-made banners, with the likeness of these fighters on there doing the face-off, but to actually have them doing the face-off is like, okay, yeah, this fight's happening. After Canelo beat William Skull in an unthrilling 12-round affair, which I guess you could say the same thing for Ryan Garcia's fight as well as Devin Haney's fight. But it's weird though, man, because through this whole Fatal Fury card shit, what's ironic to me is it seems like Devin Haney is getting the most hate, even though he wasn't even the fucking headliner of the card. Ryan looked human as fuck, right? Looked a far cry different than a year ago when he, fought Devin Haney. But, I mean, I guess you can say that shit, well, that's the Ostarine. He didn't have his Ostarine dream with him, so he wasn't able to cheat his way out of this one, man. And it's funny, too, because I always thought that Rolly Romero could beat Ryan. I always said that he could beat Ryan, or that he would beat Ryan. I always thought he would knock Ryan out. But going into this fight, I don't know, Rolly just seems so unconfident, man. He just seemed like he was just showing up to lose, to play his part in the whole narrative of pushing Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia, too. But he did, man. He came in. He, ironically enough, knocked Ryan's goofy ass down with the same left hook that everybody tries to fame him for. And Ryan was gun shy from that second round all the way to the end of the fight. Didn't want to exchange with Rolly, who's obviously the more muscular, vascular, probably stronger, harder puncher in there at the time. And Ryan didn't want to risk it. He didn't want to risk getting knocked out in Times Square, man. That's a crazy meme. That's a crazy, just narrative to have, stigma to have on you. But, I mean, shit. Devin stuck and move. Everybody's talking about how he was running. And you know what? Honestly, I can't fault them for it because, yeah, Devin did look like shit in there. But, I attested it to him just, kind of getting back on, those legs. Them shaky legs, after the Ryan thing, even though, you say, okay, well, yeah, he beat him. Well, no, he didn't beat him. He was cheating. It was ruled a no contest. Yeah, but, the act of what happened was a beating, Getting knocked down 4 or 5 times, that's a beating, So, with Devin being able to do what he's doing and still win the fight and come back, after something like that, that's good, man. It's just him kind of getting back to himself. But I mean, people don't want to allow you these things. Everybody feels some kind of way, and I'm just like, man, it just kind of plays into that same fucking narrative of I don't know if you want to call it racism, you can, but I don't know. I mean, what else is it? Why so much hate for Dev? I mean, I understand, you guys weren't excited about the fight. Or was it just, you guys thought Ramirez was going to get Devin Haney up at it? I saw so many fighters talking about it. I saw Shannon Briggs, Nonito Donaire, hell, even fucking Oscar De La Hoya had the nerve to come out and start talking about, you know, Devin Haney's performance. I'm like, dude, focus on your fighter's performance, because he was the headliner, and he stunk up the joint. Only person that really put on any sort of a performance that was noteworthy, I would say, would be Teofimo Lopez. And I hate to say it, because I don't like Teofimo Lopez, but I mean, look at that. I mean, he went in there and, you know, he just completely outclassed Arnold Barboza. I was very disappointed, you know. He just couldn't pull the trigger, just like a lot of fighters, you know. I mean, the William Skull thing. Then what, Martin Bacoli and Effie and Java turned out to be a draw? Like, what kind of weird shit was that? Like, it was just a terrible card, man. And, you know, shout out to Turki Al-Sheikh for trying to quote-unquote save boxing and do the things that he's doing in the sport. You know, trying to centralize the sport. But he's paying these, you know, I have to say it, he's paying these fighters too much, man. I agree 100% with Tim Bradley, and that doesn't happen often, but Tim Bradley was 100% correct, man. He was just like, man, these dudes stunk up the place. You're paying they're spoiled. You're paying all these fighters all this money they don't have to work for. You know? You're putting all this spectacle on, and they just go out there, and they're just like, well, I don't want to risk anything. You know, why risk anything? Because I'm getting paid anyway. So it's like, you know, I don't know, man. It's weird, man. Boxing is a weird sport. That's why sometimes it's hard to commentate on it. Sometimes hard to bet on it a lot of times, you know, because you never know what's going to happen. I kind of thought Rolly could win. I always thought Rolly could win, but, you know, I didn't think to bet on him, honestly, because, I mean, even if you noticed, you know, when he was coming to the ring, you know, in the little taxi cab or the little lowrider thing, car, whatever, and he's walking to the ring, you know, even when he was like riding in the back seat of that thing, he's looking out at the New York City streets, and he just looked frozen, man. He looked terrified. But, I mean, maybe he used all that in his favor, man, because he went out there and he beat Ryan. And where does Ryan go from here? I don't know. I mean, he's not what y'all think he is. You know, I don't care how good looking you think he is, that kid is not a boxing star. You know, he's good against some opponents, you know, C-level fighters, but Rolly is a B-level fighter at best. And you lose to him, so that means that you yourself are a B-level fighter, not an A-level or even S-level fighter, you know. But that's just how it goes, y'all. Another weekend of boxing down. I forget what we got coming up, but I know it's something coming up. You know, it's not gonna be as many fights as it was this past weekend, but we got some other stuff coming up. Hitchens and what's his name? What the fuck is his name? God damn it! Why can't I think of his name? Kambosos. So, you know, you got some, you know, okay, decent fights. You know, at least names are fighting names again. So, I don't know, man. We'll have to see what happens. There's a lot of craziness going on in the future of boxing. You know, of course, we got the lopsided Canelo-Crawford thing. I'm hearing talks of Jake Paul fighting fucking Gervonta Tank Davis by the end of the year. It's just weird. Yeah, I just don't want boxing to become a spectacle of itself, man. It just, you know, everything needs to chill. But anyway, Snow Home TV, man. I'll be back with another one. Peace.